If you truly understand this, your life will not be the same after today. What if I told you the difference between you and a billionaire is not money, not luck, not talent? It's the way you think. Most people will work their entire lives and never realize this one truth. In the next few minutes, you're going to discover the exact mindset shifts used by people like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos. Not the surface level advice, but the thinking patterns that completely transform reality. Most people are trapped in invisible patterns. They wait. They hesitate. They overthink. They trade time for money and call it stability. But billionaires? They don't play that game. They think differently. And that difference changes everything. Let's discuss the mindset shifts of billionaires that drive real transformation. Don't miss the first, third, and fifth shifts, as they are crucial to the real transformation of your mindset like billionaires. The first billionaire mindset shift is that billionaires think in decades, not days. Average people think in days. What can I get today? What feels good right now? What gives me instant results? Successful people stretch that a little further. They think in weeks, maybe months. But billionaires, they think in decades. Warren Buffett once said, "Someone is sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago." That's not just a quote, that's a blueprint. Because while most people are chasing quick wins, billionaires are building systems that keep paying them long after the work is done. They're not asking, "How do I make money this week?" They're asking, "How do I build something that still works when I'm not?" That shift alone changes everything. Look around. We live in a world addicted to speed. Fast money, fast results. But speed without direction leads nowhere. The reality is, anything meaningful takes time. A strong body, a powerful network, a business that dominates. None of it is built overnight. But here's where most people lose. They start something. They don't see results in 30 days. They underestimate what can happen in 10 years and overestimate what can happen in 10 days. Billionaires reverse that thinking. They're willing to look unsuccessful in the short term because they're playing a completely different game. While others are chasing applause, they're quietly compounding progress. While others are distracted, they're consistent. And consistency over time becomes unstoppable. Think about compounding for a second. Not just money, but skills, habits, and knowledge. If you improve just a little every day, those small gains don't stay small. They multiply. That's how empires are built. Not through one big moment, but through thousands of small, disciplined actions repeated over years. This is why patience isn't weakness. It's a strategy. Because when you start thinking in decades, you stop making emotional decisions. You stop quitting early. You stop chasing shortcuts. You start building foundations, and foundations are what hold everything up. So the real question is, are you building something that will matter in 10 years? Or are you just chasing something that feels good today? Because one path gives you temporary satisfaction, and the other creates a life most people only dream about. The second billionaire mindset shift is obsession. Balance sounds good. It feels safe. It's what most people aim for. Work a little, rest a lot, stay comfortable. But comfort doesn't create transformation. Because anything extraordinary requires intensity. Elon Musk didn't build multiple billion-dollar companies by balancing his time. There were periods where he slept on factory floors, worked through nights, and pushed far beyond what most people consider normal. Not because someone forced him to, but because he was consumed by the mission. That's the difference. Obsession is not about working endlessly with no direction. It's about being so focused on a goal that distractions lose their power. While most people are splitting their energy across dozens of things, billionaires concentrate it like a laser. One goal, one mission, one direction. And that level of focus creates momentum. Think about it. If you give 10% effort to 10 different things, you stay average at all of them. But if you give 100% to one thing, you become dangerous at it. That's where breakthroughs happen. This doesn't mean ignoring your health or burning out without purpose. It means understanding that in certain phases of life, imbalance is required. There are seasons where you go all in, where you sacrifice weekends, reduce distractions, and commit at a level others won't. Because while others are relaxing, you're building. While others are consuming, you're creating. And over time, that gap widens. Most people want success, but they want it to fit comfortably into their current lifestyle. They don't want to give up entertainment. They don't want to give up convenience. They don't want to give up ease. But success demands trade-offs. Every hour you spend scrolling, it's an hour someone else is investing in their future. Every time you choose comfort, you delay progress. Obsession flips that. It makes progress the priority. It turns discipline into identity. You stop asking, do I feel like doing this today? And you start saying, this is who I am now. That identity shift is powerful. Because once something becomes part of who you are, it no longer feels optional. It becomes automatic. This is why obsession beats motivation every time. Motivation fades, feelings change, but obsession stays. It keeps you going when results are slow, when things don't make sense, when no one is watching. And that's where most people quit. They show up when it's exciting. They disappear when it gets hard. But the ones who stay obsessed, they keep showing up regardless. Day after day, week after week, year after year, until one day, the results catch up. And suddenly what looked extreme looks genius. So the real question is, are you interested or are you obsessed? Because interest gets you started, but obsession is what takes you all the way. The third billionaire mindset shift is failure. Most people spend their entire lives trying to avoid it. They wait for the perfect moment. They overanalyze every move. They delay action just to feel safe. But safety is expensive. Because while you're waiting to be ready, someone else is already learning, and they're learning faster because they're willing to fail. Jeff Bezos once said, if you're not failing, you're not innovating enough. That idea alone flips everything. Failure is not a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's proof that you're doing something difficult. Every successful person you look up to has failed more times than you can imagine. Not once, not twice, but repeatedly. The difference is they don't treat failure as an ending. They treat it as information. Every mistake gives feedback. Every setback reveals a gap. Every loss teaches something you couldn't learn any other way. And the faster you collect that feedback, the faster you improve. Think of it like this. If you try something once a month, you get 12 lessons a year. But if you try something every day, you get 365 lessons. That's how the gap is created. Not through talent, but through volume of experience. Most people are afraid of looking stupid, afraid of being judged, afraid of getting it wrong. So they stay in their comfort zone where nothing breaks, but nothing grows. But growth only happens when something breaks, when your assumptions collapse, when your plan doesn't work, when reality forces you to adapt. That's where evolution begins. Failure strips away illusions. It shows you what actually works and what only sounded good in theory. And once you see that clearly, you move differently. You stop guessing. You start refining. This is why speed matters. The goal is not to avoid failure. The goal is to shorten the time between attempts. Try, fail, adjust, repeat, again, and again, and again, until the result changes. Because success is not a single event. It's a process of elimination. You remove what doesn't work until only what works remains. And that process requires resilience. There will be moments where nothing seems to click, where effort doesn't match results, where doubt starts to creep in. That's the test. Most people interpret those moments as a sign to quit. But the ones who win see it as a sign to keep going. They understand that every failed attempt puts them one step closer to clarity. And clarity is power. Because once you know what works, execution becomes easier. Confidence increases. Speed improves. Results follow. So instead of fearing failure, use it. Instead of avoiding mistakes, seek lessons. Because in the end, the people who succeed the fastest aren't the ones who fail the least. They're the ones who learn the fastest from every failure. The fourth billionaire mindset shift is ownership. This is where everything changes. Because most people spend their lives giving power away. They blame circumstances, they blame timing, they blame other people, the economy, their background, their lack of opportunities. And sometimes those things are real. But here's the hard truth. Blame might explain your situation, but it will never change it. Ownership does. There are two ways to look at any problem. One says, this happened to me. The other says, what can I do about it? That second question is where power lives. Because the moment you take responsibility, you take control. Steve Jobs was once fired from his own company. Imagine that. The company you built taken away from you. Most people would have blamed others and stayed stuck in that story. But he didn't. He used it. He built again. He improved. He came back stronger. That's ownership. It doesn't mean everything is your fault. It means you choose to respond like it's your responsibility. And that mindset is dangerous in the best way, because now there are no excuses left. If your results are low, you improve your skills. If your environment is limiting, you change it. If your habits are weak, you rebuild them. Everything becomes adjustable. Everything becomes solvable. This is why ownership is uncomfortable, because it removes the escape routes. You can't point fingers anymore. You can't wait for someone to save you. You can't rely on luck. It's all on you. But that's exactly what makes it powerful. Because if it's all on you, it's all within your control. Most people underestimate how much control they actually have. They think their life is fixed. They think their situation defines them. But the truth is, your decisions shape your direction, and your direction shapes your future. Every action you take, every habit you build, every standard you accept is a vote for the life you're creating. Ownership makes you aware of that. It forces you to ask better questions. Not, why is this happening to me? But, what am I doing that's creating this? And more importantly, what can I do differently starting now? That shift alone changes behavior. You stop reacting and start designing. You stop drifting and start directing. And over time, those small decisions compound. Better choices, better habits, better outcomes. Until one day, your life looks completely different. Not because something external changed, but because you did. There's a certain level of discipline that comes with this mindset. You do what needs to be done, even when it's inconvenient. You follow through, even when motivation is low. You hold yourself to a higher standard, even when no one is watching. Because you understand something most people don't. No one is coming to fix your life. No one is going to hand you the future you want. It has to be built, decision by decision, action by action. And the moment you fully accept that, you stop waiting. You stop hesitating. You start moving with intent. So the real question is, are you still giving your power away, or are you ready to take full ownership of the life you're creating? The fifth billionaire mindset shift is scale. Most people don't fail because they aim too high. They fail because they aim too low and never grow. They shrink their goals to fit their fear. They choose what feels realistic instead of what's actually possible. And over time, that habit becomes a ceiling. Because the size of your thinking determines the size of your results. Fear plays a big role in this. Fear of failure. Fear of judgment. Fear of losing what little you already have. So instead of thinking big, people think it's safe. But safe thinking creates small outcomes. And small outcomes rarely lead to transformation. Elon Musk didn't start with the idea of building something small. Electric cars at scale. Reusable rockets. Colonizing Mars. Those ideas sounded unrealistic. Even impossible. Big thinking always looks unreasonable in the beginning. Because it hasn't been built yet, most people wait for certainty before they act. They want guarantees, they want proof, but certainty doesn't exist at the start of anything meaningful. It's created through action. And the bigger the vision, the more uncertainty comes with it. That's why most people avoid it. They choose a smaller path, not because it's better, but because it feels safer. But here's the reality. Building something small is hard. Building something big is also hard. Both require effort. Both require sacrifice. Both come with risk. So if you're going to face difficulty either way, why not choose the path with a bigger reward? Why not choose the path that stretches you? Because big goals force growth. They demand new skills. They demand new habits. They demand a new version of you. You can't think the same, act the same, or live the same and expect to create something massive. Expansion is required. This is where fear shows up the most. Right at the edge of growth. When you're about to step into something bigger, your mind tries to pull you back. It tells you to play it safe, to wait, to stay where things are familiar. But that voice is not protection. It's limitation. And if you keep listening to it, you stay exactly where you are. The people who create extraordinary results feel the same fear. They just don't obey it. They move forward anyway, step by step, decision by decision, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's uncertain, because they understand something powerful. Fear doesn't disappear before action. It disappears because of action. Every time you move forward despite fear, you weaken it. Every time you take a risk, you expand your limits. And over time, what once felt impossible becomes normal. That's how growth works. What scares you today becomes your baseline tomorrow, but only if you're willing to face it. Thinking bigger is not just about setting larger goals. It's about removing the invisible limits you've placed on yourself. The beliefs that say, that's too much, that's not for me, that's unrealistic, because those beliefs are not facts, they're assumptions. And assumptions can be broken. Once you start questioning them, you realize how much more is actually possible. You start seeing opportunities instead of obstacles. You start taking actions you would have avoided before. And slowly, your reality begins to expand. So the real question is, are your goals limited by your potential or by your fear? Because one keeps you stuck, and the other unlocks a completely different life. Now this is the transformation moment. Imagine this. You wake up with clarity. You stop chasing distractions and start building purpose. You stop fearing failure and start using it. You stop thinking small and start thinking in decades. That version of you already exists. The only difference is the mindset you choose today. You don't need more time. You don't need more motivation. You need a new way of thinking, because once your mindset changes, your actions follow. And once your actions change, your entire life transforms. If this changed the way you think, even a little, then don't ignore it. Act on it. And if you're ready to become the person you were meant to be, then start building your future today. If you liked the video, share it with your friends. Don't forget to comment and subscribe to the channel for such powerful videos.